Coming up on show 602 for your Sunday edition, Tesla requires another company, more clean energy being made, and your answers to question of the week. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily, the edition for Sunday, 6th of October. My name is Martyn Lee, going through every EV story that I can find to try and save you time. Thank you very much to myev.com for helping make this show. Myev.com is over a year old now, onto version 2 if you're new to the podcast. It's how you can connect if you're selling an EV with a buyer, and if you're buying an EV, you can connect with a seller. It's how two people can connect to get the transaction done in a safe, secure way, and learn about EVs along the way as well. In the USA, it's myev.com. Just a quick mention, by the way, from Christian, who emails me from Munich in Germany. And I was talking earlier in the week about how I did a long road trip earlier this week. I was going to the World Rally Championship. I had about 16 hours of driving with a van full of recording equipment, TV cameras, podcasting gear, and I had to take a diesel transit van. How much I hated doing that, and how I wish there was an easy EV alternative. Believe me, I was going to the forests of North Wales. There was no public transport alternative that was easy. Christian says, I heard you complain about the lack of electric vans. I have the same issue. That's why I'm building my electric camper van now. It's based on a 2013 VW Crafter with some help of some pros, of course. I just started, but the diesel engine is already history. It'll have a 75 kilowatt hour battery, a 200 kilometer range, no fast charging. And by the way, I couldn't disagree more with the BMW guy who said that people won't buy EVs if they can't charge at home or work. I live in a flat in Munich, less than a mile away from the BMW factory, and they will street park and charge in the public. Getting juice is no longer an issue. It is 2019, almost 2020. Thank you, Christian. Good luck with your VW van conversion as well. He sent me a picture as well of the diesel engine coming out. It looks amazing. Keep me updated. Right, well, let's kick off with a story today about Tesla acquiring another expert company that are doing some amazing things in their niche, by the way. And you might think that earlier on in the week I told you about this story, but no. I'm talking about another one now. Tesla has quietly acquired a battery production expert in order to make its own cells. That's the contention of Electrek.co and Fred's article over the weekend that says Tesla's quietly acquired a battery manufacturing and engineering company. They're based in Canada. They're called Hybar Systems, H-I-B-A-R. Hybar? I think it's Hybar Systems. And it's all about making their own battery cells. There's no detail available from the acquisition other than Tesla listing Hybar Systems now as a subsidiary in their official listings and filings with the Canadian Federal Lobby registration. Well, the manufacturing company wasn't on their subsidiary list in July, so we know it's happened sometime in the last 3-4 months or so. Since then, Hybar has gone dark, say Electrek. The website, well, it's disappeared. All that's replaced is a single page that says it's been taken over by Tesla. So what did they do then? Among Hybar's latest technology offerings are its advanced automated vacuum filling systems for lithium-ion battery applications for use in hybrid electric vehicles, computer notebooks, and similar products. What do you know about Tesla's cells and their batteries? Yes, they use cylindrical cells, just like you would find in, connect the dots, yes, notebooks, albeit different form factor these days for most of their cars. 18650s are like the giant AA batteries, the kind of batteries that you would buy from the shop and put in your devices, those cylindrical batteries. If you imagine those on steroids, if you're new to the podcast, some slightly bigger ones, they are 18mm by 65mm, so they are 18650s, but for some reason, which I've never quite worked out, they're known as 18650s, and then Tesla made with the Model 3, even bigger cylindrical cells that are 21 by 70. In other words, they are 2170s, but for some reason not 21700s. Anyway, I'm digressing here. So, this seems like a brilliant fit for a company that are experts in a certain skill that Tesla must have needed to make their own cells. Don't they make their own ones already? Again, if you're new to the podcast, no. Panasonic make all the cells, and have always made all the cells for Teslas, all the way back to the very early, apart from think there was some LG Chems in the early Roadsters. Anyway, second digression. It was Panasonic and Tesla that built the Gigafactory in Sparks, Nevada. And no, when you go down to actual chemistry cell level of the individual cell and putting them together into a battery pack with the control systems, that has been Tesla and Panasonic together. But what do you do when you go from a very niche, small-time car maker to want to be one of the biggest car makers in the world? Well, you need to diversify, and so you need to work with other battery makers as well as Panasonic, and maybe even, you could say, make your own. Tesla have always been a very big fan of having everything in that vertical stack. Ooh, buzz phrase. But everything from the minute you walk through the door to when the car leaves the door to be under their control, and the software is a big part of that. They make most of the bits of their cars. They have a factory that makes the seats that never gets talked about. They've got a factory in Germany that makes the robots, and yes, there's a time in the future when Tesla, indeed, I think all the smart money says now, will be making the cells that make the batteries, which make the cars. And so, some big news here from a Canadian company that now looks like it's part of the fold. It comes at a time, say Electric, when it's becoming obvious that Tesla is working to establish their own battery cell manufacturing capacity after working with Panasonic for years. Recently, adding LG Chem as a supplier for battery cells, according to one Korean article, although I've never seen that confirmed by Tesla. And earlier this year, they also acquired an ultra capacitor manufacturer. That's a company called Maxwell, and there's been speculation on what that acquisition meant for their own lithium-ion electrode technology. They've also been listing jobs on the Tesla site, all to do with battery cell manufacturing. So we are definitely doing 2 and 2 equals 4 on this one. We're not getting the wrong end of the stick at all. Good luck to everyone at Tesla who is doing the job now of not just building the cars, but building the cells that build the cars. Let's move on, and an Inside EVs article all about charging. Volta Charging is introducing free DC fast charging. Volta Charging, as promised earlier this year, is introducing to the US free DC fast charging as a major expansion to its current advertiser-sponsored AC charging. Now, they plan to sell 50 kilowatt and 100 kilowatt DC fast chargers, which will be free for the very first 30 minutes. You can then leave, or you can pay an additional charge. The new Volta DC fast charging stations will range up to 100 kilowatts with charging initiated via a mobile app, and you can always pay to continue. Otherwise, you can end after your free 30 minutes. A nice new way of looking at business models for charging. They will focus on major metropolitan areas: Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, and DC to begin with. As for their AC charge points at the moment, busy retail locations with strategic real estate partners, they say, is the goal, and showing ads on big displays there, some advertiser-funded stuff. And finally, some news about the electricity that you put inside your EV, at least in this country. EDF Energy, the French government-owned energy provider Électricité de France, EDF Energy has shut down a coal-fired power station in Nottinghamshire in the UK. Since starting in 1968, EDF says the 2 gigawatt power station has burnt 183 million tons of coal to make electricity over the years. 140 people currently work on that site, according to the company. Some of those will now work on the new nuclear power station at Hinkley Point. Others will work on other nearby coal-fired power stations. The UK's remaining coal plants are going to be shut down over the next few years, according to the Energist.com website. There's going to be a coal station closing in March, and then another one in not long after, actually, owned by SSE, and those closures will leave just 3, I think, coal stations left in the entire country before those close down again over the next couple of years, as we make our shift to renewables and clean green energy to put inside our electric vehicles. Just wonderful. All right, let's talk about your question of the week this week. It's your bit of the show, and I do it every Sunday show. I read out your answers, and Kind of a fun one this week because I was asking you what you've named your EV, and if you've never named a car before, maybe you got your EV and you thought, you know what, we're going to name the electric car. Maybe you had to because you own a Tesla. I've never named a car and still have never named a car, but I know most people do. Brian Weatherall says, I'd not named cars before I had a Leaf, but my first one had the registration ending MLF. And so we called it MILF, but I was worried about the kids asking questions what it meant, so instead we called it HAL, after the 2001 A Space Odyssey computer. The second Leaf we called Ruby, after the colour. I'm surprised how many EV drivers name their cars, proof of the emotional connection they have. Kyle Hodgson says, we call the car Furby, because when we walk up to it with the key fob in hand, its ears, the side mirrors, open up to greet us in a way that reminds us of the 90s toy robot teddy bear thing, Furbies. Peter Bryn says, I haven't named my plug-in hybrid, but my friend's Leaf goes by the name of Plugs. Hello to Dan Wren. I own a Renault Zoe, 22 kilowatt hour version. I haven't personally named the vehicle, but when we first purchased the vehicle, my 7-year-old daughter was so amazed by the car that she called it Zoomy Zoe, because of how fast it accelerates, so the name's stuck. It's even gone as far as having the name put on the car mats. I know it's sad, but my daughter loves it, says Dan. We're so impressed with the vehicle, we will never go back to driving fossil cars. Thank you for the hard work you do on the podcast. We listen every day. Oh, thank you, Dan. Ian Griffiths says, Ian, the Patreon supporter, Ian Griffiths, I'm a big fan of Everton Football Club, and I've taken delivery of my blue Model 3. I was going to call it Blue Nose, but we've called it Gladys, from the home end stand at Goodison Park, Gladys Street. I didn't know that, Ian. I've been to Goodison. I didn't know there was a Gladys Street. I've only been as a visitor, by the way, clearly not being an Everton fan. John Gibbons says, my car is lovingly known as Piffle by the wife. Something to do with the number plate, apparently. Also, it's a Honda Insight. A hybrid in the world of EV, says John. But no, John, you have a Honda Insight? That's fantastic. I see them rarely around. You've got a real rare beast there. Enjoy that car. Tim James says, never named a car, but if I ever manage to get a Tesla, I will call it Franz, because it was designed by Franz von Holzhausen. Hello to Mark Buckingham. Hi Martin, Kia ora. My car's name is Letric, L-E-T-R-I-C, Letric. I like it, Mark. Hello to Kent. I've named both my electric cars, says Kent. My Hyundai Kona is just called Kona, which is also the Norwegian word for wife. So it's kind of funny. My Model 3 is named Navi, N-A-V-I, Navi, as my dog is named Link. My robot vacuum is called Zelda. It was just fitting to name my Tesla Model 3 Navi, since it's blue. Zelda nerds will know what I'm talking about. Mike says my 2017 Ioniq Electric is named Carmen Electra, and we'll revisit that. Luke says, I'd never named a car before, but when I first met my now wife, I was driving a VW Golf with the stock number plate GMT24. So she called it Big Ben. After Greenwich Mean Time, 24 hours, GMT 24. Like it! We picked up our first EV, which was a Kia Niro EV, or the e-Niro in the UK, with the number plate MKY, so she named it Mickey. Hi to Brock. I've named my Chevy Volt Carmen Electric, after Carmen Electra. It was the first name that came to mind. Thank you, Brock. Paul Ridings says my car name is Stormfly, after the dragon in How to Train Your Dragon, because my kids really like the films. Also, after previously owning only really boring family cars, driving it feels like flying on the back of a dragon. Hi to Sven. Our EV name is Bye Bye Oil, which is our license plate for our red Model 3, spelled B-B-Y-E-O-I-L. Bye Bye Oil. Most people figure it out as intended after thinking about it for a bit, except our neighbour, who sometimes thinks it still means baby oil. That's awkward. Andreas Juel, or Yule? No, it'd be Juel, wouldn't it? Andreas Juel Mikkelsen from Copenhagen in Denmark, when we got our blue BMW i3. I named him Saint Elmo, or just Elmo amongst friends. We felt that the blue BMW i3 was such a fun car to look at and drive that we thought of Elmo from Sesame Street. It was an electric car, for the name EL, Electric Elmo, was perfect. More to the name was St Elmo's Fire, the static election phenomena that occurs around objects like ship sails and wings of airplanes. That makes it even more perfect. Thank you for a great show, he says. Frederick is next. Frederick Leon Anlauf says, my little i3 is named Bob. It's also in the number plates. B for Berlin, combined with the letters OB. So we call the car Bob. I think it's the perfect name for an i3. It looks like a Bob. Owen says, my wife calls our silver brown Kia Soul the sideboard. That's rude of her. John Fruith says, my car is a Model S P90D. My dream car. I've named it Blitzen, with a subheading of John's Red Rocket. David Tucker says, we named our Model 3 Ikolu, which is Hawaiian for 3. When we got our Oregon plates, they had the word LAM in. So now the full official name of the car is Ikolu Lami Pai. And finally, Carl Kramer. My 2012 Chevy Volt was immediately named Voltron after the Defender of the Universe because I'm a helpless geek, he says. All right, new question of the week time, said by myev.com. Which segment of vehicles do you think is most important to electrify? Is it a certain size of car? Should we make sure SUVs are done first? Or is it bikes or bicycles? Buses or trucks? Which segment of vehicles is the most important to electrify first? Email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com, or leave a comment on Facebook and Twitter on the socials if you want to. Thank you to 255 patrons of the podcast. Phil Roberts, our premium partner from Electric Future, doing big solar installs here in the UK, like big commercial stuff. If you're interested, check out Electric Future, premium partner of the show. Brad Crosby, individual supporter who's been with me all year. Thank you, Brad. And Avid Technology, who will be back on the show very soon. Hello to David Allen, OEM Audio of New Zealand and evpower.co.nz, Paul O'Connor, tryev.com, and Gareth Hamer, all partners of the show. Thank you so much, all of you. I really appreciate it. And all of the exec producers, Alan Robson, Alan Shedd, Alex Banahini, Alexander Frank, Anders Hove, Ashley Hill, Björn Fuchsnack, Barry Peniston, Bob Muir, Brent Kingsford, Brian Thompson, Brian Weatherall, Cesar Trujillo, Charles Hall, Charles Hopkins, Colin Hennessy, Craig Coles, Craig Cooper, Craig Rogers, Damien Davis, Dan Fairst, Darren Bird, Darren Santon, Yorkshire EVs, Dave Jewson, David Barkman, David Finch, David Partington, David Prescott, Derek Riley from TheEffects.net, Dirk Rotzatz, and Don McAllister, running his business screencastsonline.com. Frederick Rovick, Free Jewel, aka James, Gene Rubin, Jeff Lowe, George Clargo, Ian Griffiths, Ian Sear, Jack Oakley, James Storr, Jason Fan, Jeff Urbies, Jerry Allison, Jill Smith, Jim Morris, John Bailey, and John Lacey from Click Like Video NZ. John, who is Beardy McBeardface from Kent EVs, John Nodell, Juan Gonzalez, Ken Morris, Kevin Madison, Carl Mann, Lars Dallager, Lawrence D. Allen, Lejek Grigil, Luke Cully, Marcel Lohman, Marcel Ward, Marlon Shell, Martin Croft, and Matt Piccioni. Matthew Ellis, Maz Shah, Mia Oppelstrup, Michael Pastroni, Michael Cuffin, Mike Rogers, Mike Winter, Nathan Gorbrown, Neil E. Roberts, and Sussex EVs, Northern Explorers, Ohad Aston, Paul Seeger-Smith, Paul Shelley, Paul Stevenson, Perry Simpkins, Pete Glass, Pete Gordon, Peter and D. Robertson, Oxen EVs, Phil Mouchet, Pontus Klenbad, Rajiv Narayan, Ralph Jensen, Renee Schneider, and Rob Cooling, teaching people to drive in electric cars at appledriving.co.uk. Rob Hermans, Robert Grace, Robin Tanner, Rupert Mitchell, Sabby the Cats, Sarah McCann, Sari Kangasoja, Seiki Payne, Steve John, Stuart Hanna, The Limousine Line in Sydney, The Plug Seekers YouTube channel about EVs, Tim Gutteridge, Walter William Langhorn, and Zach Hurst. Well, there are 601 previous shows online for free. If you'd like to get them, you can do online for free. The new shows come at you first and free and automatically if you are a subscriber for free. Hit subscribe in your podcast app or on YouTube. Come and say hi on the socials by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.